Hi, George here, helping you unlock your team's genius. Welcome to POP Product Ownership Prowess. In the chapter Working with Stakeholders, we are now going to look at facilitation tips for product owners. There is a fair amount to it, so I'm going to split this off in a few parts. In part one, we are going to look at the choice that you have as a product owner, when to participate and when to facilitate. So I'd like to offer some thoughts to help you make that decision. Very briefly speaking, when we talk about facilitation, the facilitator is in charge of the container and the participants are in charge of the content. So for good facilitation, the facilitator doesn't actually get involved in the content, and that's important also for you to then bear in mind as you choose whether you want to participate and therefore be able to drive the outcome and contribute to the conversation and the activities, or whether you would rather withdraw from that and purely facilitate and through a series of activities simply let the participants work towards the desired goal of a particular session or workshop. Right. So broadly speaking, when we are looking at that, participation is useful when you want to contribute, when you want to influence, right? Contribute or influence what the outcome will be and what the content is. And facilitation is more about when you don't need to do that, when you just want to create an engaging container where others are doing the contribution and the influencing. So what are some examples that we can use? Engaging container, right. So some examples from aspects that we've previously discussed already. Participation could be useful for you when you actually want to guide the outcome or use the outcome that you have in there. So for example, in a road mapping session. Yeah, road mapping session. So here, you're the holder of the roadmap, of course, so it's not only you're sharing the information that you have in there, but you might also need to react to feedback and so on and so forth. So your engagement, your first-hand active engagement is very important in that particular session. On the contrary, an activity that you might, for example, just facilitate, that we've mentioned in another video, could be a feature session. Right? You have already done the work by preparing for a feature session. You have already worked with customers, for example, to validate the need, underlying new feature areas that you're exploring, and the users have given you a general guidance of what they would prefer, and within the acceptable margins that have been indicated by that, you actually don't mind all that much, right? Because you eventually will work on all of those areas because they've already been validated with users. Now it's really just to ensure that you are engaging with the stakeholders groups to get their input. So as far as you're concerned, you don't really mind, right? As long as the stakeholders feel like their needs have been met, and a great way for them to voice those and collaborate with other stakeholders is by a feature session. So this is one way you could easily facilitate it, provided that you have already created the options and validated those that you're bringing into the feature session. So those are two examples. Let's look at a couple of others where it might be useful to participate. So you might want to participate, of course, in sprint retrospectives. Yeah, as a part of the Scrum team, where you want to engage with the others in order to work together at being a better team. Participating in sprint retrospectives is a really useful tool. Another one where you might want to facilitate instead of participate could be something where you've already done the work and others are standing in the limelight, if you will. So there could be a bigger show and tell where you're doing the emceeing, for example, right? You're emceeing a bigger market hall of the products that are being worked on. And you have team members who then actually do the contribution and the sharing of it, for example, right? So again, you've supported the creation of the event, but for the actual events running, you can step back a little bit and let other people who are working with you on a day-to-day basis to fill in here. So just as another example. Okay, so the key thing is always try to determine whether you want to contribute or influence the content. If so, participate and somebody else should facilitate. Or if you simply want to provide a container where others do the contribution and influencing, and for you, you don't have a vested interest one way or another, which way it goes, as long as the overarching goal of the session has been completed. In those cases, you would then facilitate. Okay, so if you found this useful, please let me know by sharing a like, and any queries or questions, just leave them in the comment below. That's it for this one, and all the best for now, and we'll see each other in the next video. Thanks, and bye-bye.